having you. This is the Black Country Blokes, Junior Fat, here with me, Kev Dillon, Lee Cadman, and our very special guest today is Arv Mittoo. Now, Arvie, I grew up watching this bloke back when I was a kid, and he was this spectacle of a man. I remember being at Worley ABC all them hundreds of years ago. He used to flip up onto his hands and outrun me on his hand. I'd be there as a child, running as fast as I could, and this spectacle of an athlete to be outrunning me. So growing up, I had so many heroes at Worley ABC, and we'll talk about them in a bit. But Arvie, you're my number one. So thank you, brother, for coming on today.
Kev, thanks for having me on your show. It's a pleasure, and I'm happy to be here. So it's all good, and thanks again. Cheers, buddy.
And we're going to be going into the life. Arvie had 100 professional bouts. He won a novice title as an amateur, and we're going to get into his life, how it actually is being a journeyman, how it is being pro. And we're saying it's not all songs and whistles. It's a blooming hard job. But we're going to come into that in a bit. What I like to start the shows, as we do every week, like we do our support group, the Lions ABC, every Wednesday, 7 till 9. And it's, how's our week been? And when we say how's our week been, it's easy to go, oh, it's been rubbish. It's, let's find something positive about our week. This week, what's happened? We went to the Crystal, me, my wife and my daughter. And because my daughter can't swim yet, we were having a play with our armbands on, and then we went around the side where the jacuzzi is, and we were practicing swimming with our armbands. And those little memories when I'm not boxing shows and championships, and it's remembering the good times when they're young, because in another 5 to 10 years, she ain't going to be one knocking about with daddy. So I've got to get as much daughter-daddy time as I can. How about you, Lee? What's been good?
It's a tough one this week to find something, but I've just been thinking about it as you've been talking, because I want to listen to you as usual. But yeah, I think my daughter's been ill all week, so she's been off with me, but you know what, that just gave me time to spend more time with her. So even though she's been ill, she's been very cuddly and very, very much a daddy's girl this week, and that's been fantastic.
Arvie?
You know what? Just like you said, right, spending the time with your daughter. Spend as much time as you can with your daughter while they're young. Because my daughter is now 11, and now she don't even want to spend that much time with me now. Whereas before, I spent a lot of time with her. Now it's all going out with friends. She's at the senior school now, and when she started at the senior school, and I had to walk her to the gate, she said to me, "Wait by the gates. I'll go in on my own." And these are the sort of things they do now. They don't want to be with you anymore. They feel embarrassed to be with you, and they just want to be on their own. So that's true, Kev, when you say, when they're young, spend as much time as you can with them, because as they get older, they don't want to spend any time with you. They're embarrassed to be with you, and they just want to be with their own friends. And that's how it is now. So just get as much time and spend as much time you can with your daughter while she's young.
And I think, like, being a boxing coach, and I love me my second family, my Lions family. But I remember my dad, he would be out, he'd be taking you here, he'd be taking Steve there, and Kev there, and Steve here.
Yeah.
And I remember as a child that happening. And I always said I'd never do it, but you do, because you love. We expect our wife and our babies to always be there.
That's right.
And sometimes you put your second family in front of our biological family. Yeah. But then what happened is, through lockdown, I actually enjoyed having my tea with my girls. My daughter's now 6, and I could count before lockdown how many teas we had, because Daddy had to go to the gym. Then on the weekend, and this time, I found it hard, and I've talked to loads of my good friends through the coaching world.
Yeah.
We found it hard to adjust back to it, because, like one of my very good friends, is christening. He's not this Sunday; it's the week after of his baby, and I'm at the national finals. And me and Lee were talking. It's such a privilege to be asked to go to the christening. But when it's an ABA final, you think, blooming heck, it's not just a club bout. And you feel guilt. You can't say to your kid, who you've had since they're 10 and they're 18 now, oh, I can't come to the biggest day of your life, because this may never happen again. And then you've got your old mucker who's saying, well, this is my christening. And how many times I've had to say to my wife, sorry, Arvie's getting married. Oh, well, you have to go on your own, because I'm taking Lee boxing.
Yeah.
And it's sad.
That's what happens, and it is sad. Kev, you're saying about lockdown, and to me, it still don't feel right. I find myself not going out anywhere, go to work and stay at home. So you know what? I think it's what 2 years now, maybe, and things still don't seem the same. And because I was adjusted going into that way of staying in, I do my work and I stop in. I'm finding it hard to adjust and get back to normal. I'm not back to normal. I'm still wearing my masks. Even though you don't have to wear them, I still wear them. And to me, it's with the lockdown, it's hard to get back. It don't feel the same, does it? I don't know what your opinion is on the matter, but for me,
if you feel comfortable,
you know,
of wearing your mask, wear your mask. I think there's a big hysteria about people having jabs, not having jabs, wearing your mask, not wearing your mask, sanitising your hands. Ultimately, do what makes you feel comfortable.
That's right. Totally agree.
It doesn't matter about what anyone else is thinking.
But I went to championships the other week, and I've all my life I've been a coach. All my life I've been coming to see you lads when I was Jasmine's age, and it was bonkers being there with like a couple hundred people, sweating, spit buckets, and you're thinking I've grown up with spit buckets and people spitting and sweating, and I was thinking, oh my goodness, what do I do here? And you know, it's sort of, you know, hold when you're seconding, you hold the bucket, they spit at you, which is gross in the real world, but you don't think about it. No. But now you're thinking, hang on, I'm wearing my gloves, I'm wearing a mask out, but if he's got the Rona, we haven't, and it's all these things that it's getting used to the new world and not being too frightened of the old world. It's
right, it crosses your mind now, doesn't it, with the coronavirus and stuff, where you probably didn't think anything about it, Kev. You're now thinking about it. I want, you know, spitting in the buckets and all this blood going in the bucket. I wonder if I'm going to catch anything. It must cross your mind at some stage.
I mean, I love the game, but I think so many people have had different experiences from the lockdown, and hopefully there's always good that comes out of it. And my good was actually thinking, my wife hasn't got to stay with me. She chooses to. Yeah. And boxers will come and go, but I have chose my wife, who I've chose to have a child with. These are the ones you've got to hang on to. Yeah. And you know, boxers will come and go, and that's the nature of the beast.
It's 100% though, Kev. I look at myself the same way as you do, like with my wife and the kids and that kind of thing. You know, she used to work full time, and then she had a child, and she works part time now, and it's like she's done it for me, sort of thing. Similar situation with yourself, really. You know what I mean? I've got 2 kids now, and she's always there. You know what I mean? She does what I want, but she'll always be there, and I know. Just like you're probably in the same situation, you know that your wife is always going to be there. Yeah. And it's the same with me. I know my wife's always going to be there, you know, no matter what. But like you say, with boxers and that, they come and go, don't they?
I mean, and you know, as the professional athlete, you know, we always say like a boxing widow. Whether you're a coach and you're out all the time, when you're a boxer, your partner has got to be so understanding, especially with you being an athlete.
100%.
Oh, well, we're going out for a couple of bevies, or we're going to have a McDonald's, or we're going to, and you go, I've got to make weight. And I've never met a boxer who enjoyed making weight. No. The sparring, the fighting, that was part of the possible. Having to be under a weight, just in case a fight comes off the next day, is a nightmare, isn't it?
It is a nightmare. You know, that times in my career that's happened, you know, Kev. I've been out with your dad. I can still remember being out with your dad somewhere, and I've been like a pound or so over, and I've had to skip it off. Yeah. Put a few jumpers on and skip it off. You know, novice championships. I'm sure I was a pound over or something. Had to put a few jumpers on and skip it off. You know, yeah.
And people don't realise that, like with championships, you say you're under 69k. Yeah. You can't be over, so you have to, and then they'll go, oh well. Just put him in the weight above, but the weight above is 75k.
That's right, it's a big difference.
In old money, that's a stone.
That's right.
And if you're going in at 69.5 or 70, and he's come down to 75, and that's what the outside world of boxing don't realise. Weight is such a fine balance.
They don't. Not just that, Kev. You know what? We're all human. It's hard to get things perfect and get things right sometimes. You know, sometimes you can be on a scale, and you've weighed him perfectly, but then go to the scales what you got to weigh and when you're at the event. Different scales, and your weight's wrong. I mean, what do you do? Again, you know, we're all human, and mistakes are easily made. How do you get the right weight? How do you come in perfectly when the scales can be differently? What do you do? Like I said before, your scales at home might be right, and you go to the scales where you're fighting and the scales are wrong. Scales weigh differently. What do you do?
Well, I remember years ago, Conor Jones, he won the ABA's Three Nations one year. And then next year we got him in the championships, and his weight was perfect all week, all work.
Yeah.
We got to the venue, he was point over, and he wasn't allowed to go in because he was slightly over. So I learned my lesson. Everything we should be learning.
Yeah.
So now, don't assume just because last night he or she is right. Before we get in the car, I get them on the scales, on the same scales, and then if they're 0.1 over, we have time to give them a light bit of skipping.
Yeah.
And get it off them before the venue. But that was a learned experience.
Yeah.
Because what they were yesterday could be completely different. They've had a massive glass of water. They haven't had a wee. They haven't gone to the toilet. They've had a piece of toast.
It's right. All these different things, eh? What can make things differently from not being able to go and have a wee if you haven't been for a wee. You might be. It's funny, but it's true.
But even that long when we get to the venue, I always say, go to the toilet. Even if I don't need to go to the toilet.
Yeah.
Because that little tiny bit might make the difference.
Yeah.
What was the interview you've just done with Christian?
Tris Dixon's life stories. It was about my career. Kevin was quite shocked that he came and he come and see me. But I was sort of honoured. That he'd come and see me. Like it was a good experience. You know what I mean? I know he interviewed Jane Couch, and I was speaking to her and said, "Oh, you should go and see off." And he come and eventually it was a while, but he come and see me due to coronavirus and that kind of thing. He put it off like, and then eventually he come and see me, and I loved it. I enjoyed it. Very good experience having him come and interview me at home with a camera crew in my living room and that, like, I really enjoyed it. What an experience! Well, I loved it.
I can recommend the podcast actually.
Yeah.
All of his, or he doesn't really do a bad one, especially if you're a boxing fan. It's well worth, and that's Boxing Life Stories.
It's funny, Lee. The amount of feedback I got from it. Even one or two gaffers. I was going to send you a text, but I thought I'd ring you to say what a fantastic interview that was. Unusual. I was quite shocked.
And you've always been such a humble bloke as well. And
oh, thanks, Kev.
I remember, as I say, like when I was a child, what a squad there was at Worley as well.
Oh, absolutely fantastic. I learned from a lot of them guys. Steve Anley, Jeff Adams, Tim Broadbridge. I'm terrible at remembering.
Kevin Mitchell was good.
Kev Bennett, yeah. Kev Bennett. Well, they all learn you something. They were all there, and even when I came there, they were all already had plenty of fights. Them guys, because they trained as little babbies, like 10-year-olds and that. And they was all. I learned a lot of them, and I won't worry about getting it because then guys try to take your head off, so you have to be pretty. It didn't scare me; it just made me tougher by being able to go in there with them guys and fight back. But they were all hard guys, I tell you. Really were. Jason Gonzalez, all of them could fight. Big punchers. Good amateurs, and I learned a lot of all of them. And I still speak to a lot of them now, and they're like all gentlemen, they're lovely guys. So yeah.
Boxing's a weird kind of family, isn't it?
Very, very weird kind of family, indeed.
You have and they are brothers or sisters.
Yeah.
And they'll be like, and it's no. Do you remember when you broke my nose 20 years ago? Oh, it was great, wasn't it? And it's that kind of, but it's not with malice. It was we were there to get each other fit.
That's right.
And when you were winning, I wasn't upset that I'd lost. I was over the moon that our stable were doing it.
That's right.
And as you
really
say, you've been with some for 20 years, 30 years. And
it's funny. Kevin just don't seem very long. It don't seem that long. We're talking about it like it's yesterday, doesn't it? It seems like it was yesterday when you came up the gym with your dad. You was only a babby.
Yeah.
But you was just the way you were. You were very swished on. You were very, very knowledgeable even when you was a babby. Like, and apart from being older now, you like the same guy when you was a small guy. You know what I mean? It's crazy, isn't it? If you know what I mean. But it don't seem like years ago. It only seems like yesterday. I don't know how old you was, Kev, but you was only a babby. But you were the way you are. You was as knowledgeable as you are now. Back then, very, very strange one, isn't it? Very strange one, my friend. Very strange.
What you just said there, like time hasn't gone on. We've all got older.
Yeah.
But in that, like what a family is. You bump into someone and you go, how are you? Oh, you've got kids now, congrats.
Yeah, yeah.
And it's like time hasn't passed because that's what family is.
Yeah.
And when I think of like back at the old coast, like Big John come with Dad when we started the Lions, and but then Johnny Dix, whenever I see Johnny Dix, because Johnny Dix was always my coach.
Oh, Sam Bloke.
Oh, well, he used to take me on the weights, and he was all, like Big John, and he was like my uncle. If he was a softer man, he'd be Uncle John. It's Auntie Leslie and Big John. And like my dad was my dad, but Johnny Dix, Little John, they used to call him, Big John and Little John.
Top guy, you know, still have a lot to do with him, Kev, you know.
And I see him on Facebook, and whenever I see, you know, it's Hugs. And he had Dennis Jackson, you know, Jackson.
Dennis, yeah.
What a lovely man. He was like a second granddad to me.
Top guy, wasn't he? Hey.
Well, what a stable it was.
He was. Not forgetting Reggie
Snooks.
Red Snooks, lovely guy, hey?
Snookson. Nigel
Top
Porter.
man. Yeah. Nigel Porter.
But they were great blokes.
They were. And they were all top guys, weren't they?
I mean, when you
good times.
When you come to the gym, you often say you come as a little barrel, didn't you?
Yeah.
And tell us why you got into boxing.
Yeah, Kevin. You know, it wasn't my intention to even become a boxer. You know, I'd done a lot of martial arts and that kind of thing. It was just there to get handy with my hands. That's all it was all about. Not to become a boxer, not to become a professional boxer. I'd done a lot of martial arts when I was a kid. It was just to get good with my hands and go back. And as I came to train with Wally, not only getting good with my hands, I lost a lot of weight. What was amazing, and become very quick and learn the mechanics of the sport. So, you know, to move in and eat and move out the way, move quickly, throw fat. My hands had really fast hands once I lost all that weight. And all them things kept me there, and thought to myself, you know what, I don't want to go back. I want to stay here and fight as an amateur. And that's exactly what I've done. And it's the best thing I ever done.
How old was you when you had your first bout?
Believe it or not, Kev, I'm about 18, 19. Quite old, really. You know. But I've done about 3 or 4 seasons straight off and went professional. But your dad had me having a lot of fights. It weren't like 1 or 2 fights a season with your dad, you know. I've had, like, I'm sure, in one season, I'm saying about 15 fights every. You could fight twice a week, you know. I had a fight on a Monday, I had a fight on a Friday. You'd have coming. You're fighting tomorrow. I never said no. I just went along. You'd have a little bit of butterflies because I weren't expecting to fight, but I always fight. Very rarely did I ever say no. I always said yeah, and your dad liked that. You know, that I was always willing to fight. There was never no excuse. I'd always fight. Just like in the same with the pros, I always fought when I was asked. I never said no. You know, I thought, you know, what way to get experience? Fight, you know, you can do as much training as you want, as much running as you want, but without fighting, it's not you know, you need to fight to become good at boxing. You need to fight. That's where you get your experience from. Not from the training, not from hitting bags, not from sparring. It helps you and you keep you fit. But to become a good fighter, you need to fight. Practice makes perfect with fighting. Not with hitting bags, not with punching, not with skipping, not with road work, with fighting. So to me, when your dad used to get me a fight, I always fought because I thought with practice that what makes you get perfect with fighting. But yeah, I enjoyed it, and the best thing I've ever done, boxing, and I'm glad I've done it. Even though it was never in my intentions to become a boxer, I became a boxer, and I'm maybe not happy with what I've done in the pros, but you know, I believe I could have done better than I had.
Just going back to what you were saying there, I think you're right to get actually the feeling of going into a fight, and I don't think it's as much about the physical, is it? It's more about the mental. So the more times you step into that ring, the better prepared you're going to get each time.
Right.
You can prepare outside the ring by doing your sparring, by doing this, but there's nothing that prepares you for the mental toughness you need when you're in there. You
know what? You are spot on. And you know what? This is why with Nobby, there was times where you didn't have to do anything as long as you was fit and you ran. If you said, did I fight tomorrow? You could fight because that was my training, fighting. So if I fought on a Friday, then I could fight next Friday because I'd fought last week. And by doing that, as long as you're doing your running and you're doing that, that kept you fit. And I've done that a lot. Weren't always in the gym, Kevin Lee. You know, sometimes from fighting, that was what kept you going. You do your running, but from fighting, that's all you needed. as long as you were doing it regularly. And there were certain times where I fought one a week, and I might have done that for maybe 10 months, you know. Yeah, if you look it up, I had a time where I fought once a week every Friday. And by doing that, what else do you need to do? Because you're doing what that's keeping you in good stead for that kind of thing.
There's no better training.
There's no better training from fighting. Someone tries to beat you up, there's your training for you. And there's your fighting for you.
Well, it's like when I've got 3 lads in the championships next week.
Yeah.
Osmar, Ben and Matthew. And it's like when you've got the lads fighting every week in championships, some coaches will overtrain them in the week. If they're fighting like this Sunday, then fight next Sunday, on the Monday they come to the gym, have a little bit of walk around, you know, nothing there. Wednesday, maybe a bit of light pad. But it's when we've got to beast them, you've got to let them recover from one fight.
Oh, yeah.
And get ready for the next fight.
100%, Kev. Something can't learn that.
Because we burn them out. And
Yeah.
how many great athletes do we know of? And they're burnt out. But
Yeah.
And sometimes
Right.
they box a schoolboy, a junior, a youth, a senior.
Yeah.
By the time they've made it to a senior, they've had
They're burnt out.
100 bouts.
Yeah.
They've had 5 days a week, hard sparring, boxing, and you're thinking they haven't matured into the athlete they could have been because their body is burned out.
Totally agree, Kev. You know, sometimes you can do too much and you become what you call stale.
Yeah.
Your body needs to recover. So you've done a lot, but you need to have a rest from it. It's, you know what it's like? It's like being cut
Yeah.
and not making the scar heal. Do you know what I mean? You're just bothering it. You're meant to do your stuff and have a rest till you heal, then get back into it. And by not doing that enough, you can overtrain and get stale. And it's not a good thing. Your body should have a rest. 100%.
And people forget that about the rest.
Yeah.
And we all know, we were talking off there, so when you haven't had a good night's sleep, you feel violent. It's the
horrible.
fastest way to sending you to madness,
Yeah.
sleep deprivation.
Oh, 100%, Kev.
And that's the same if I'm working on my biceps 5 days, 7
Yeah.
days a week, they're never going to grow because
No.
they're just so battered and
That's right.
bruised.
That's right.
You need to train them,
You need to, that's
rest
right.
them,
And rest
feed them.
That's right. Rest them, because you end up with pain. And you know what, Kev? The more you keep doing it, the more pain you have. If you rest it, then the pain will go. But you have to rest. Some people get too mad and get carried away, don't they? And don't think of this and think, the more I do, the more I get better. But no, because our bodies isn't built like that. Our bodies have to have a rest. And sometimes people overdo it and get stale and don't have a rest, and it's no good for you. You need to rest at some stage. Don't get me wrong, keep fit, yeah, but don't overdo it. When you've done your bit, rest yourself, tell if it's time to go again. Don't overdo it. You just make yourself work.
And that's called like ticking over, isn't it? Instead
That's
of having
right.
to run a marathon,
That's right.
I can just run around the block ticking over.
Yeah, tick over.
Because knowing, and as a boxer, you're going to box. The
Yeah.
running comes to help the fitness. But I can't be sparring 7 days a week.
No.
Or 6 days a week and then having a hard bout.
No.
Boxing, the tournament, is the end product.
That's right.
Everything around it is to gear to get me as strong, as fit, as
Yeah.
agile for that Friday night.
That's right. And you know, Kev, you know, your dad was bang on when I used to fight, and that he had it spot on. You know what I mean? I never had any problem. You know what I mean? And in the championships, he took me to the championships and stuff like that. I was so confident and won easily. But it weren't just me doing the work. It was your dad. He was like a... he was like some kind of guardian angel. If he weren't there, it wouldn't work. Honestly. He was superb, man. You know what I mean? He was spot on.
But you were saying off camera, we're having a good row. Old family friend, family having a row. And he said, Dad was very good. I'm not just saying because my dad.
Nah, he was spot on.
Very good as a coach, and what is wonderful but it's the confidence that he gives you
Yeah.
and all the squad. And you've gone on to box, and a lot of the old squad now are coaches all around the Midlands.
They
aren't
are. They are. It's good to see. You if you look on social media, and that, I didn't realise there's quite a lot of them who's there's coaches now, and it's really good to see that they're doing well and helping out. I mean, there's even one or two school lads I went to school with doing it, and I'm like proud to see. I mean, because it's hard to have the time, and I'm thinking fair play to you, because it is hard to have the time, but they're making the time. Some of these guys, aren't they? And it's really good to see that they're doing this, Kev. Such a hard thing to have the time to train and to put in all that time. It really is, you know. It really is.
It shows the true legacy of, as well of one boxing club, doesn't it? That one boxing club has produced countless boxers, countless people who've gone out into the wide world and done better themselves because of boxing. But then also countless coaches that are now helping other people down the line, and no doubt the people they're coaching now will go on to do the same things.
In fact, the Whalley Boxing Club, they've got their show tomorrow. I'm sorry, I can't remember where it is, but
it's off the Wolverhampton Road, Kev. That's where it is. It's like a I wish I'd know exactly what it was called, but it's off the Wolverhampton. It's off the Wolverhampton Road, directly opposite Asda.
And we say like coaching. We're going to come to your story in a bit, but with the coaching, people think all it is shouting at a bunch of burly athletes. You need the discipline, but these people need love. You can't just cuss at a man and expect him to love you for it. No. And that's the fine balance, isn't it, between the coaches. You can give someone a rail of telling off, but you've got to rebuild that man. You've got to make that man or woman go to battle for you and trust you.
Most definitely. You know, Kev, you know, your dad done that for me. You know, Kev, he put me in you know, he put me in good stead with everything he done. You know, he used to shout really bad and swear and everything, but you know that he was doing a good thing. He weren't doing it for a bad thing. He was doing it for my good, and it was a very good thing, and it worked. It disciplined. It gave me discipline the way he used to act, Kev. Everything that your dad done, Bob Dylan, it put me right in my life for later on in everything. It's because of him. I'm the man I feel, with how he talked to me and how he, you know, Kev, there was times when I couldn't even, you know, there was a Christmas time when I had nothing to eat. Your dad cooked me a chicken. Did you know that? He got
I would have cooked you the chicken. If
Dad
had cooked it, you'd be dead.
Okay, well, you know what I mean? That's what happened, and it was lovely, you know what I mean? What a lovely thing to do, eh? He got me some food cooked for me at Christmas time many, many years ago. I was very young. I'll never forget that, Kev. You know what I mean? Who would do that? You tell me who would do that. You know what I mean? And this was a bloke what used to shout and swear and everything, you know what I mean? Not for the wrongfulness, to help me and make me a better person. So, you know, he weren't doing anything wrong when the man's cooking food for me when I'm on my own. This man cooked me a chicken with vegetable and, well, like I say, your mum, sorry. But getting that done, you know what I mean? It's because of him, isn't it? You know, your mum wouldn't have, if it weren't for him, if it weren't for your dad, I know your mum cooked it, but I wouldn't be having any chicken and any roast and all any trimmings and everything. It's because of him. You know what I mean?
But that's what people don't see around boxing. You see these blokes and women now beating each other. But there's so much love that goes behind the scenes.
That's right. You know, Kev, you have all the shouting and all the going on, but it's not for a bad reason. It's for a good reason. And you know, to get results, you need to have that attitude to shout and to make you do better for yourself in the training, to become a better fighter. You have to carry on like that. You can't just talk when you're training someone. You have to shout to get the best out of them.
And you've got to know which boxer you can shout at and which ones you've got to go, you're doing well.
Yeah.
Because
you're right.
One needs the fire under his bottom, and the other one needs lots of TLC.
You're right, Kev.
If you shout at one, he's going to cry.
That's right.
If you don't shout at the one, he's going to switch off.
And we had a fighter like that, Kev, back in the day, and he went elsewhere.
Yeah.
You know, because your dad used to treat him how he used to treat me, but he was like a sensitive guy. Lovely guy called Gary Simpson. Lovely guy, but very sensitive. And because he was so sensitive, he ended up going with Frank Hall Sutherland in Birmingham. But your dad treated him how he treated me. But I'm a bit tough skinned, Kev. You know, I liked it, but he didn't like it.
But you've got to find your medicine.
You're right.
I always say this on here, and if you don't like the way I'm coaching, we've got some brilliant clubs around here. We've got Morley, we've got the Pride, we've got the Brooklands, and if it's not working at the Lions, don't fall out with boxing.
Yeah, don't fall out with it.
We haven't gelled. You don't like my way. There's other brilliant clubs.
I totally agree with that, Kev. Totally agree with that.
And it's funny, because your parents were part of the Windrush generation, and they went back to Jamaica, didn't they?
Yeah, they went back. 1987, they went back. You know, they just felt you know, we've come here and, you know, it's time to go back now. You know, the thing is, Kev, I could have gone back. Well, Kev, I'm born here, why am I going back? You know what I mean?
I bet that was tough for you, though, bruv.
Oh, it was very, very tough. Very, you know, tough that certain people... You know, Kev, I got a younger brother, Kev. I don't think he realised he's telling me how hard he had it out there. Mum and Dad was out there with him. Who was here with me?
Yeah. and we were working out, you were 16 being left all over.
Yeah.
And what was that? In the late 80s?
Late 80s, Kev. Yeah.
And it's a different world to what it was back then, isn't
it?
Yeah.
It was very tough, very tough. And I say now, but at the time, you don't say to anyone, do you? You know, Kev, my pal I grew up with, you know, he used to give me meals. And it's just the other day I've had confidence got the confidence to tell him that, you know, the meals he was giving me, I was grateful for them. And he was saying, bloody hell, I never realised he was starving. It was just a thing I'd done. If I had known, I would have fed you all the time. It's a pal of mine, like, you know, and at the time, it would have been embarrassed to say this to him, but now, you older, you don't, things like that don't matter. I don't know, it's not embarrassed. You're just not embarrassed about it now.
At 16, you want to be a man, don't you?
Yeah.
You're not a man, but you want to be.
You want to, don't you?
You want to be earning money and showing
that's right.
You're looking after yourself.
That's right.
And to do that with no parents around you must have been really, really hard.
And you know, Lee, what I don't like, you know, Lee, is people use an excuse about robbing here and robbing there, and I had this and I got into drugs and all that. It's no excuse, you know, Lee, because I never done it and I never got into any wrongfulness with the law. You know, I just tried to be the best person I could be, even when it was hard. I never stole off anybody. I struggled to eat. But it weren't in my mind to go and rob anybody or try and steal or take any drugs or nothing like that. So, you know, I just want to know, you know, there's no need for anybody to say that when they say it, because I never thought that way. You know what I mean? Even though it was hard and you did get depressed and it did make you feel mentally ill. It got to me a bit, you know, but I still managed to, you know, keep myself all right, you know.
And I think, like, when being a parent now, I imagine you couldn't, and I hope I don't step out of line here, but I can't imagine you'd ever leave your babies.
Nah, Kev, you're not stepping out of line, you're just asking me a question, brother. You know, when you're so 100% right there, because of what happened to me, it made me react different with my kid in the sense of spending money. The only thing is, Kev, am I right to do what I do if my kids ask for whatever they want, to buy whatever they want? When you have had a life when you've never had much and parents couldn't have much, you're in that situation when you can afford for your kids, you buy them what you want, you know what I mean? You don't say no. And with me, sometimes in my situation with my kids, you know, maybe I buy them too much. I never say no, but I try to bring him up right, and they do have discipline, and they are good kids. And I do say to him when he goes out, my lad, he likes to go and watch the Albion sometime, and I don't like it because I always worry about going to football matches, there being trouble and stuff. I never say no, and I don't think he knows that I don't like it, but I won't say no. He goes with his pals on the train to watch the Albion, you know, and he'll go. And he says he sees trouble there and stuff, and he watches the match. I get on the train, I try and get away, you know. And I just say to him, don't get in trouble with the law. Just try not to get in trouble with any law, and that's all I ask. But I don't mind you doing whatever you want to do. As with myself, I weren't allowed them options. When he went to school, I gave him the option to go to what school he wanted to go to. Same with my daughter. These things weren't, I didn't have these privileges. I had to go where my parents wanted me to go. Which I looked at it and I thought, gee, why would they want to send me where they want to go? I sent my kids well, they went where they wanted to go. I just said, go where you want to go. I didn't send them where I wanted to get them. Because I think to myself, it's them what's got to go. And it's them what's got to learn. So go where you want to go. It's got nothing to do with me. I'm not learning, you're learning. So go where you want to go.
As a child, you only have such a small window of being a child.
It's right. You don't realise how short it is until it's ended, do you? And you look at it now and you think, gee, it's such a short time. School life. I mean, Kev, you can say the same thing with you. It's only seemed a short time you was a baby.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, and you know, and 100%. Look at you now, you're a grown man. It's funny, isn't it? It seemed like I was miles in front of you. Yeah. Now you look at it, it looked like like you're a little bit behind me. Yeah. At the time, it seemed like there was a massive gap, you know.
Well, we were saying that, I remember you as a child, looking up at this.
Yeah, it seemed like a big gap, didn't it?
And you had this magnificent figure, and you were a giant, you and Jeff Adams, and are looking at you, Jeff Adams and a knockout merchant.
It don't look so big now, though, does it, Kev?
But you were men then, and it's funny, like when you're saying you boxed it like 9.5 stone. I remember you being ginormous, and it's fantastic. But when you were saying about your eldest, saying he was into, he did a bit of boxing down the club, and how many parents, and I see it all the time, and I'm a boxing man, so you do boxing, and you're thinking, your child, if they want to go and do ballet, if they want to do Star Trek, if they want to do Lego, we've got to allow our children to enjoy it.
I totally agree. You know, Kevin, my daughter, ballet, tap, modern, she's doing it all and done well, but at the minute she's suffering with her knees, so she'd have to put it on hold for a bit till they can sort something out. I think she's going to probably have to have knee operations, I believe. She's got one worse than the other, and she's on crutches at the minute to keep the weight off. But hopefully she'll be all right, you know, and be able to go back and carry on doing a modern ballet and tap. I hope, anyway.
On about bad legs, because you said something off camera. So, what was the name of your condition when you were young?
Perth.
And would you explain what that is, please?
You know what? I don't know. It was a hip problem. And when I was young, I don't know, you know, Kev, you know, Jamaican people always set in their ways. I used to jump around as a child, and we used to have a piano at home. I used to stand on top of the piano, which was quite high, and jump off top of the piano onto the floor on a regular basis. And my mother said, that's why you got that problem, and that's why your legs have to go in plaster, and that's why you had a bar going in between your legs. Only for later on to realise it had nothing to do with that. I suffer with a condition called Perth, which was a problem with my hips. So my legs was in plaster for about a year, and I had to have this plaster change every so often. I couldn't even go to my usual school anymore because they had problems getting me around. I had to go to a special school, and it was difficult. And so I had my legs in plaster, both of them, and I had a bar going in between them. And they said, they reckon that I'd be like that for a very long time. Well, after a year, I was out of it. So I was out of that, become very strong with my legs, be able to run a lot of gymnastics and stuff. It's only now, I was suffering a little bit. I started to do a lot of walking and exercising, and I seem to be fine. I seem a lot better.
But even something like that, I mean, once again, the 70s, that sounds like something from the Victorian age.
It really does. It really does.
When the kids had polio and, to have both legs cast.
Yeah, both legs plastered right from the top of the groin, Kev, right to the bottom of the ankle. And my legs was in a V position like that, with a bar plastered to one leg to the other leg and stuck like that, and in a position sat up. So you can imagine how it was when I got out of it, being stuck in a position like that for like a year, having it taken off and rechanged. It was a nightmare. It really was. Not being able to go to a normal school, having to go to a special school, going to the toilet, Kev, I had to have special pants made so I could go to the toilet. It was a nightmare.
And how old were you?
5, Kev. It was a nightmare, Kev. Thinking about it now, it just brings back memories. It seems like yesterday. Now I'm thinking about it. I haven't had that thought for years. Now we're talking about it. It feels like it was yesterday, you know.
And I imagine, being probably the only Jamaican kid there, so you're already sticking out.
That's right,
then with your legs.
Kevin, that's right, Kev, because don't forget back them times, there was hardly any black kids around, and there was no, how can I say it? Times have changed now. We got a lot of mixed nationalities, multicultural. Back then, it weren't like that. So if I was in a school, whether it was in a special school or whether it in my normal school, there's probably about 2 or 3 black lads. You probably get one Asian, and that was it. You know what I mean? It's not like now. It weren't that way. You didn't really see any mixed kids. I don't know. It's a special name. We now have to call them mixed race. I have to be careful what I say, because even my lad and missus say, "Oh, you can't use that word anymore." I said, "Bloody hell, we didn't have that." Excuse my language. Sorry. Yeah. We didn't have that kind of mixed race. It was. Well, I only knew half caste, and I said, "I'm sorry, I didn't know," because that's what we knew. I didn't know it was wrong for me to say that. Cause,
isn't it funny? Like, you there as a black man, my wife's mixed race, and as you say, that is how language has evolved.
That's right.
And there's no malice in it.
No.
When someone, me and Quinton, my best mate, Casper, we've got a Paul.
You're a lovely guy, Quinton. Very well.
There's nothing worse than a polite racist, who's saying all the right words, but has got malice in his heart.
Yeah.
But when you're trying to say the right thing and you stumble on your words, that's not racism. That's just misinformed, isn't it?
It's misinformed.
Last week, sorry.
Just carry on. Sorry, Lee.
Yeah, we had a bit of that last week, didn't we? With Josh and Lee, who come on to talk about
LGBTQIA
plus.
Mm-hmm.
But the thing is, again, you've had to remember that, and if you'd have got that wrong, there would have been no malice in what you were saying. It was just, it's a lot of letters, and where to put them, But it's absolutely, anyone who wants to catch up, that should be out tomorrow on our Facebook platform, Facebook, YouTube, all the others. And it's a fascinating conversation, not only about that, but about the abuse, the domestic abuse that men can suffer as well.
Yeah.
What we're saying, though, it's like, you were boxing, but like what you've overcome there, and I imagine, you've already been separated out because you could have, and then having a disability, which it was there.
Yeah.
And how easy it would have been to become a wallflower, just blend in. Because as a child, and I had this with my eyes, you want to be normal.
Yeah.
As a child, you just...
Oh,
I
definitely,
just want to fit in. I just want. It's not until you get older you want to be extraordinary.
Yes.
You want to be the man.
Yeah.
But as a kid, you just go, I will do anything just to fit in.
It's true, isn't it? Funny how your mind changed from then to now, and as you're younger, how you want to fit in. Isn't it funny how as you get older things change? You know what I mean, Kev?
And considering like that young 5-year-old Arv Mittoo, then as I say, how I remember Arv, I only found out about his having poorly legs today, because how I remember Arv Mittoo was his athlete who could run on his hands, and you asked him, and he was saying he could do the splits. He was one of the finest specimens of athlete I've ever seen. I've been around some of the top athletes, but I remember as a child thinking, wow, this guy is superhuman. Yeah, but who would have thought that baby would have been that man, and then that man going to have 100 professional bouts. So and I love the saying, impossible is a large word that small-minded people throw around to stop other people achieving.
It's right though, isn't it? Hey Kev, isn't that true? Isn't that so true? That word saying that. And
so you've... And how did you get into gymnastics? How was that just to strengthen your body?
You know what, Kev? My older brother got me into that. He always seemed... my older brother always seemed to be very good at doing certain things like that. And we always watch people doing backflips and top back somersaults together and that kind of thing. And I decided I wanted to get into it. So I went to a proper place in Birmingham called the BAI, the Birmingham Athletic Institute, which took me about a week to learn to do them sort of things. Tumbling, it was a tumbling. We specialise in tumbling. We did a lot of backflips and somersaults and twists and stuff. And, within a week, it took me about a week to learn. And all what happened, I just got better at it. But it didn't take me long to learn. I always seemed very agile. The only thing is, Kev, I had to stop. I had an hand injury. I don't know if you knew about that. I had to have a screw put in my wrist. So I was unable to continue doing that because I fell. It weren't in gymnastics I hurt my wrist in. I fell at work off a lorry and fell like that. And it caused me to have a screw put in my wrist. So I couldn't continue anymore. If it weren't for that, I would have continued. But I enjoyed it.
Because people see the acrobatics and they go, oh, well, that's, an old way of thinking. We know better than this. Oh, that's a girl's sport. But the physique and the strength those athletes have. When I love watching the athletics in the Olympics, when on the bars and on the rings. And
absolutely brilliant, Kev.
The overall power and athleticism, if that's the right word, to then go into boxing. I mean, and so after you've gone and won your novice title, then you've gone pro, and as we were saying off air, there wasn't the trainers we had in the Midlands. We've always been, considering we're the biggest borough in the country, especially around the Birmingham, the Black Country. We're the second biggest to London.
That's right.
And we've never had we've got better. We've now got
better. We've got a bit better.
Errol and Peg and Genty down the road. We're now on the way. We have got a hell of a lot better.
Oh yeah, we have.
But back in the 90s,
for some reason it was never very good, was it?
Who did we have? We had Nobby.
Nobby and Pat Cardell, and that was it. There was no other trainers. And then Kev, when you did have people like Tony Wilson from Wolverhampton, probably one of the last persons at the time to win a British title. They weren't with people here. They were with trainers in London, weren't they?
Yeah.
You know. So back then, if there was anybody in them, they'd travel to London to train there. And
Wayne Alcock.
you know what I mean? Wayne Alcock. Frank Maloney, was it not? Frank Maloney? Yeah. There you go. Yeah. He didn't do what he done here. He done quite well. Wayne, he achieved a lot of good titles, which, again, he was with a promoter down London.
But how tough that, when
you know what I mean?
You've got a family, you're trying to make a crust, then you're trying to box, then you're trying to train. It's a lot, isn't it?
It's really hard. You know what? Unfortunately, Kev, you know what I'd done before I started? I always had it was my girlfriend at the time. She'd always been with me, but I put that on hold and done all my boxing stuff. I don't know I would have been able to, like some of the lads now who have kids and they're boxing. I don't know how they cope. How would you cope? Oh, I've got my kids now. I struggle to do what I'm doing, you know what I mean? I really do.
And we think when we turn pro, you know what? I've done all right. I'm going to be Ricky Hatton. I'm going to sell out Wembley. I'm going to have 60,000, 100,000 people come. I'm going to be a millionaire.
You know what?
That is 1 in a billion.
You know what, Kev? I think that we all think like that until it comes to it. It's just a hard thing to do. You look around and you realise it's not as easy as that. It looks good when you see it, but nowhere is it easy as that. Even me thought that way. Yeah. You do. I think there's quite a lot of people think that way. You can look at people like the likes of Howard Clark and
what a boxer.
Yeah, what a fighter. A lot of good fighters who you would have would have thought what would have been it and haven't, because it's such a hard. It's a hard thing. It's about being in the right place at the right time. Would you guys agree? Because it's not everybody what has that wants to be like that, but it don't end up being like that. So that's a perfect example to use Ricky Hatton, and you see that I'm going to be like that, but it just never goes that way. And in certain fighters you have sorry Kev, certain fighters you have go in the sport to be a journeyman, and it ends up going that way for them, and that's fantastic. And you got to take that hat off to them and wish them all the best and fair play to them.
I mean, like lads who've turned pro from the line, and everyone wants a ticket off you. Yeah, I'll have 10 tickets off you. I'll have 10 tickets.
Yeah.
And then the week of the show, they drop out. And unless you've sold a certain quote, your thought's going to drop out, or your purse is going down, unless you're a journeyman.
Yeah.
And then, before you know it, you're not getting the fights, because everyone wants to come to your first one, maybe a second, but then when fights naturally get cancelled, and we can't sell a ticket for £10 to Brolly Hill Civic, but then you go pro and it's £50, it's hard to sell them, isn't it?
I can imagine, next to making weight, that's one of the hardest things for a pro boxer, is actually selling the tickets.
You know what I say, Lee and Kev, isn't it hard enough to sort yourself out to fight, having the nerve doing that, never mind selling tickets? I mean, it's hard now. Someone says, some of these promoters won't even bother if you haven't sold enough tickets, I didn't know that. What do you do? I mean, isn't it hard enough and stressful enough? Well, you added more stress on yourself having to sell tickets, because isn't it hard enough and nerve-wracking enough to make weight, and you're absolutely bricking it to go and fight? Isn't that hard enough, as well as having to, having the hassle of selling tickets on top as well, and if thinking, man, am I going to be able to sell enough tickets? And people start pulling out and they can't come, and what do you do then?
Yeah. And I've known like Quinton, the night before, and he'd come round my flat before I was back, and there's nothing else I can do. So-and-so's let me down, so-and-so. I'm going to end up not making anything. And as you say, you're nervous about your training, the fight, and then you've got to worry about the plonkers. And if you just say, sorry, brother, I can't come, fine. But they'll hang it on right to the day. And, and then, as you say, then journeymen and people, and they'll say, these journeymen, they go in there, and there's a fine art to being a successful journeyman in that.
Yeah. Because
you've got to go in there, you've got to be fit, you've got to get ready, you can't get cut.
That's right.
You can't get stopped, because you want to be there the next week.
That's right. You know what, Kev? It's such a hard thing to do, because don't forget, you got to go in there, and you're not going to win. And that's, as a journeyman, you're not there to win. You're just there to give a fighter a workout, aren't you? So you got to be able to be fit enough to go the distance and not get stopped. Because not forget, if you do get stopped at 30 days a month, you can't fight for a month. And that's it. You're not going to be making any money. So you got to be able to be fit. And sometimes, Kev, you know, you got some dangerous guys. They're going in there not to win. They're going in there to knock you out and rip you head off. You got to be able to go in there and know the tricks to keep up close and grab onto the arm and slow down the pace, move around, you know, be able to sort of fight for a minute out of 3 minutes, that kind of thing. You got to know all the tricks. It really isn't really quite a hard thing to do. It takes a bit of practice. And like yourself, anything can happen. You can get cut and then you got to wait longer than a month for that cut to heal. So to be a journeyman, it's not an easy thing. It's quite it's an art to be able to become a journeyman. It's not as easy as people think. And then being stopped, that's the last thing you want to do. I mean, you get stopped, you're off straight away. There you go, a month, you're off.
I can imagine as well that these boxers are really going out there to try and stop you as well, because they
definitely
know how hard it is to do it.
Yeah.
Because you're trying your best not to get stopped.
You're trying to try your best not to get stopped, and he's trying his best to take your head off.
And then you've got to go to work the next day.
That's right.
Go in with two black eyes, nose by your ear hole.
Yeah. Which used to sometimes happen a lot. Very, very rarely though, Kev. You know, I never went into work the next day with any black eyes or cuts. Once in a blue moon, but yeah, that as well. Going into work the next day after you've been in for a fight, you know, worrying about cuts, worrying about black eyes. It's not very nice. So that was something you had to try and do. Go into a fight and that not happening, which sometimes it did happen, Kevin Lee, but very rare.
Can I also ask you about, obviously, I think it was Peter Buckley where he had the newspaper splash saying world's worst boxer and all this. And
that upset me. That.
Yeah, well, I don't think it's people who don't understand the art of it.
Yeah, don't understand the art of it. I mean,
but do you find that yourself, that people look at your record and kind of go, well, he must be rubbish?
Yeah, that's happened. I mean, Lee, my own lad said that to me. I said nothing, I just laughed and just left it at that.
Well, I watched as a young man. I remember you being far from you were the business. You also.
My lad actually, excuse my language, my lad has to use the word crap. Dad, you were crap.
We can get away with that word.
Yeah. He said,
that's the limit there.
Yeah, the amount of fights you've lost. Well, I just chuckled to myself and said nothing more. Coming from him.
Because when you turned pro, you said you didn't go in to be a journeyman.
No, I didn't.
Do you want to tell us a bit about that?
Yeah, I didn't go in the sport to be... You know, Kev, I thought I'd even be able to... Especially the way your dad taught me. Honestly, the way your dad taught me, I was so confident. I thought I'd be able to go and box like that, box someone's head off, and get the decisions. But nah, it didn't go like that. Okay, even my first pro fight, I went in against a guy called Alan Bosworth, so I was making my pro debut. That was my first fight, and he had 5 fights and never lost one. And when I look at it, I don't know, you could have even said it was a draw, it was a close fight. You know, Kevin, you ever get the chance to look? Go and look on YouTube. Nobby weren't even in my corner. I weren't bothered because I was confident anyway. Peter Buckley was in my corner. Peter Buckley took me for my first fight. Not Nobby. And I weren't bothered, you know, I was confident, you know. I thought it was a close fight and it probably could have even been a draw, but nah, you know, I lost an half a point. But, you know, I've had referees say to me, even now he says, you weren't in a stable where you were meant to win. Referees knew that. They see you, look in the corner, see where you're Nobby, and you've lost before you fought. You know, I was shocked by that.
Do you regret the decision of going down that route now? Would you...
You know what, Lee, nah. At the time I did, but when I started, but halfway through, I thought, you know what, you got Peter, there were people like Peter Buckley, Brian Coleman, Carl Taylor. They was all very good fighters and they all went down that route, you know, and I thought, bloody hell, these guys are good fighters. And excuse my language, sorry.
That's alright.
Yeah, and I myself, I thought, you know, these guys are fantastic fighters. Guys what had won titles, you know. Carl Taylor won a Midland title, fought for a British title. He fought a fella called Michael Ayers, who he got a draw against, and he was a phenomenal fighter. And Carl fought for a British title, but he won a Midland title. Peter Buckley, 2 Midland titles. I think one at bantam or super bantam and featherweight, or featherweight, super featherweight. He won 2 titles. Anthony Anna fought for a British title, fought for a Midland title. These guys are honestly fantastic fighters, and winning with really good, skilled guys. And I looked at them, and I sort of took a leaf out of their book. I thought, you know what, hey, stop and do what I'm going to do what they've done. And that's what happened. You know what I mean? But to start with, that weren't what I wanted to do. I wanted to be like a contender. A fella to win a Midland, a British title at least. That's how you think in your mind, and that's what I wanted to do. I didn't know the sport was the way it was. But, I took a leaf out of Brian Coleman, Peter Buckley, Anthony Anna, Carl Taylor, them guys, and thought, hey, I'll do what they're doing. And I'll say it again, them guys were very good fighters and should have achieved winning British Commonwealth titles, in my opinion. They had the tools and they certainly could fight.
But just not very good ticket sellers.
We all forget all about this. I didn't know. The thing, Kev, I never knew all about that. I didn't even know all about that.
Which one?
The ticket selling thing. I mean, Kev, it weren't a big thing back then, was it really? In selling loads of tickets, I don't know. It is now. But that weren't always the situation, was it?
What I was trying to tell the lads, it's like you're making, without being crass, if you can make your pimp happy, he will look after you.
Mm-hmm.
And if you can, and my dad always tells me a story like someone Kev Dillon always won the ABAs 5 times, best lad in the country. How tickets yourself? He'll bring his mom. No, thank you. Or you've got Lee Cadman. He's had 100, won one, but he's going to sell out Wembley. Yeah. I'll sign him. I'll find him the right person to beat.
That's what it's all about, though, isn't it, Kev?
And that's what we're trying to say to our lads and women. Yeah. If you're going to go pro, and we're having a show at the Wilson Hall Bridal Civic, get your gang used to coming in and paying. Because if you can't sell the tickets, you won't have those opportunities.
Kev, there was something going on at the Civic Hall a few years ago. It was for people who had fought at the Civic Hall. If you'd fought at the Civic Hall, they were giving out certificates and badges, medals. And there was a museum going on at the same time. And I went down there in the day, and a few of the boxing boards saw me down there. I didn't go down there for that. I went down there just to have a look what was going on. And they said, Arv, we can't believe that you have never fought at the Civic Hall. But you know what I realised, Kev? I don't know if it paid good wages there. And what Nobbs used to do for me, he used to try and get me the best money he could get me. So what Nobby was doing, Nobby took me to places down London to fight, Bethnal Green, York Hall, and them kind of places where the purses were big. And one of the reasons is all I can think is why he didn't take me there, because they weren't paying the kind of money I was getting when I was fighting on these big cards. And that's why I never fought at the Civic. Because they were saying, we can't believe you've never fought here. And I realised that's why I never fought there.
That's some experience. You've probably boxed in some of the best venues.
Big venues, big undercards, all the Harrison undercards, that kind of thing. Big undercards, or big massive bills. I was always on the undercard. Where there was a lot of world title fights under the undercard. It'd say Nobby'd say, you have to be able to look after yourself to fight under these cards, and you're always fighting on them. Is what he used to say to me. I was always under the big card, never fought on a little, very, very rare. I fought on a small show. One time I fought at the hotel just over here.
Oh, the Copthorne.
The Copthorne. That's the only time I've ever fought on a small show, and I won.
Typical.
Yeah. Crazy, isn't it?
Yeah.
But once you can't, like you were saying, thank goodness then God who taught you the ropes, because my dad and Big John and Snooksy and Dennis Jackson, all the coaches at Wally and Johnny Dick, they would have taught you boxing fundamentals. They would have taught you the nitty gritty of being a journeyman.
No.
So it's good your brothers were there to show. If we're going down this route, we're going to show you something that them guys I'm going to teach you.
No, that's right.
And that way you've had a longer life. You've had your boxing pedigree.
Yeah.
But then you've had to learn, if I'm in the trenches, how to survive.
You know what, Kev? You're spot on, you know. And that's what it was all about. You know what? If I was trying to win fights the way I was taught and stuff, I just wouldn't have been able to go on as long as I would I, if you look at it that way? The way your dad taught me to fight fantastically, I wouldn't have had a long career, would I? If I was going in the way your dad taught me, trying to win every fight, I just don't think I would be able to do it.
And when you've had like 100 bouts,
yeah.
Some of the names on your card, Junior...
Junior Witter. You know, Kev, you know Steve Bunce? You know, he done an interview with me and he done his research. I didn't realise I fought about 15 British champions. I never knew that.
Yeah.
And a couple of world champions. They want to win world champions. I had no idea.
And who would you say was the best?
You know what? I fought a guy from Scotland. He was a bit heavier, a Scottish fella, and he was a bit heavier than me. And he gave me a bit of a beating. Even though I went the full round with him, I thought it was quite an hard fight. Maybe one of my hardest fights, if not the hardest fight. Yeah, but he went on to win a Commonwealth title at light middle from Scotland.
What would you tell people if they're looking down this route and they want to go and be a pro, or if they want to get in? Because I've got a very good friend of mine, Christian Marini. He's boxed me for years now. He's going pro and he wants to do a Journeyman. What advice would you give him?
Oh, to be quite honest, Kev, you know, like your dad wanted me to stay amateur. You give me a right rollicking, you did. You know? I got scared. I got scared, and I hid from him for a few years. You know, I don't know if you knew this, but I got scared of him and hid from him for a while because he didn't want me to go. And I think that advice from him was fantastic, and you should have listened, Kev. You know, that's the best advice. I don't know if it's a good advice to go and become a journeyman. It's best to learn your amateur. You know, Kev, I don't know if I'd be able to do what I've done if I never had all the training from your dad. I don't think it's something you can just go and learn like that. I think you need to be an amateur to do a bit before you can do that. If you look at a lot of these journeymen, they're good. They're pretty good amateurs and had amateur careers. Peter Buckley had a good amateur career. You know what I mean? One or two of them who haven't had many amateur fights, they've done well in the amateurs. Frank O'Sullivan had a fighter, Brian Coleman. He had about 170 odd professional fights, but all the fights he had with Frank, he had about 4 or 5 amateur fights. He won them all. I don't think you can just say go into that game and become a journeyman. You have to learn. You got to have a bit of experience. It's not something you can just do.
You can't just be a punch bag.
Because you gotta know. Last. That's right. You won't last. You don't want to be, like you said, Kev. You don't want to be a punch bag. You don't want to be your face battered and you sound punch drunk. You don't want to be like that. You know, I like to think I'm not like that.
No. And it's a shame, like with and I don't know how you feel, but like some of the veterans coming back out the game, like Holyfield just done it, and Mike Tyson.
Oh, I don't like that.
I don't want to one day hear that Nigel Benn, God, I hope it doesn't have Nigel Benn or Chris Schumacher or Mike Tyson on legs, someone who I've grown up idolising at the age of 50 odd, 60 odd, goes because your brain and your body's two different things. Your brain's still going, I could do it. Because the last thing to go is not your power, it's your reaction.
That's right.
And what a man can get punched in the face at 20 or 30 is different to 50.
He's right.
And I would hate, and I hope it doesn't happen, that we see a fatality when boxing's moved on so far in the game and we lose a legend. We don't lose anyone in the ring, a YouTuber, an athlete, but I don't agree with you personally.
You know, Kev, I said this once or twice, and I'll always say this. You know, when you go into boxing, when your career is time to finish. Don't finish your career and then come back. And them are the times where you're probably going to get hurt. Go in your career thinking that this is something what has to come to an end. Like everything has to come to an end. What jobs you do in the workplace will come to an end. You'll do it till it finishes. It's just that whether it's boxing or football, it's a short career. Go into that career, knowing it's a short career, and it's going to come to an end. And when it does, that's it. don't then thinking you're going to come back, because that's them are the times when you're going to probably get hurt.
And it's,
You know.
it's not like a kid who's boxed last year, had a year off, and come back.
No.
Some of these boxers haven't boxing over 20 years.
Yeah.
And who has 20 years off and gets better?
The oldest Phil thing, it was a disgrace when it really was. It should never have happened, and he was lucky. He didn't get hurt.
Mentioning Tristics, and again, absolutely fantastic podcast. But he also brought out a book recently called Damage, which I'd highly recommend everyone reading who's getting into boxing.
I've heard him going on about it in his
It's
podcast.
fantastic, but he talks about the effects of CTE on the boxer's brains, basically, and yeah, I highly recommend it. Because it is it's absolutely frightening that these legends are coming back. And you saw it with Holyfield; it was terrible. He shouldn't have been anywhere near that ring. You saw it in his pad work before.
Yeah.
He didn't need to go into the ring.
It didn't need. That's right.
Got that left.
Someone was saying that to me, saying, "Oh, you know, a fella from Wally, actually, a fella called Roy Jones, he was saying, oh, if you could see on the pad work, you know, that he was really slow and he didn't look very effective. And it's true. Tyson done very well, but we can't. We're not all Tyson, and majority of people fight differently and work off reflexes and different things, and we're not all the same, are we? You know, one man might be able to do that, but majority of us won't be able to do that. You know, and my opinion is, when your career has finished, just leave it at that, because you know you've been at the game for a long time. You're never going to be able to do your reaction, your feet, your legs go, your reflexes go. You know, I mean, why anybody would want to get it, and to get it is very painful. I don't know.
And like say Mike Tyson, he left. He lost Lex Lewis who did before, but he started, apart from Lex Lewis, he was losing like Danny Williams, and he was in his first year then.
Yeah.
And if he's losing to, no disrespect to Danny Williams, but losing to Danny Williams after being Iron Mike Tyson, how's he going to have got better with 20 years on the tank?
Yeah.
You know, at that time you're thinking, I'm not making them miss anymore. The shots are coming hard, and you don't have 20 years off, especially in the fight game. It's not like the Rolling Stones who can come back and put a performance on in the 70s. Boxing's a lonely old sport.
It is a lonely old sport, Kev. You know what's bad, Kev, is when you going in there doing it for the money. That's really bad, and you're getting you know, the old beaten out of you. It's a bad thing. Find something. There's plenty of other things you can do rather than doing boxing for money, because doing that for money, you're not going to live to be able to spend the money. You're just getting your head punched around. You know, you need to be stopped. Someone needs to stop some of these fighters from carrying on. You know, you shouldn't have the choice when you're unable to throw a punch or take a shot and you're being beaten. You shouldn't be able to say, I want to carry on. There should be something or somebody to stop you getting beaten, you know.
You've got to start questioning the promoters who are putting these on, haven't you, and the managers who are letting these, because there's enough people who earn money off those Tyson fight, the Holyfield fight. There's enough people who are earning money off those that should stop and go, actually, this just isn't right.
No.
Because everyone, you know, we did have Bernard Hopkins who boxed into just before he's 50 or just over his 50, but it's a one-off. It's
a one-off though. He was an odd man, not working off reflexes, but working off being able to defend shots on it. He was a different fighter when he weren't reflexes with him, was it? When you look at how he fought, he could move his head and move, but he didn't work off reflexes exactly. He was good at what he done.
To me, it was almost like a journeyman. He knew how not to get hit.
Yeah,
but then be effective on the other end of it.
You know what, Lee? That's a fantastic example of it explaining, you know, at what he done. He could defend well like a journeyman, but throw shots back, couldn't he?
Yeah, he could almost old man you out the which is what a German just knows the tricks.
Fantastic, without throwing all the shots he threw, but doing that and hitting you. When he hit you hard all the time. Every shot was a hard shot, wasn't it?
But not everyone's like him, and not everyone's brain reacts to getting punched the same.
That's right.
You know, you look at your Tysons of this world, who probably actually didn't take that many beatings as such.
They never know, did they?
Because he used to get knocked out and he'd go down, whereas our Holyfield was in wars. He was in in wars.
And you know what, Lee and Kev, use him as an example. Mike Tyson. We know he lost, but he probably, in all them fights, you know, he probably lost about 5 fights where he was stuck. But look what look what he achieved in his career. He never took a shot, did he? Because he always bobbed and weaved out of them.
Mm-hmm.
So he never took a shot. So, you know.
Well, as you said, like the Evander Holyfields. And it's only been recently, I mean, I've always loved Van Holyfield, but I've watched him recently and I'm thinking, this guy, as a natural cruiserweight, fought big Daddy Bow, Riddick Bowe, Lennox Lewis, Mike, and these were
fought big guys.
Massive heavyweights. They're like, it was the start of the big heavyweight, as we, the super heavyweights.
That's right.
And he beat them, boxed with them, but he had to get it to hit out, but you can see how he talks and he moves compared to like the Lennox Lewises of the world.
Even Kev, even if you look at people like the likes of Roy Jones,
yeah,
we know he's lost, but look what he achieved.
Oh yeah.
At that career, everything was achieved. Weren't they hit and up heat?
Yeah.
Them last few fights most of his career it was a good career, wasn't it?
But it's what was it saying about like with what's it called Bernard Hopkins.
Yeah, Bernard.
He went on later, but he was consistent.
That's right.
He didn't have a 10-year layoff.
No, he was very consistent, my friend. He never had a layoff. He never did. In that career he had, it was a consistent career where he never had a break until he actually retired.
I think people forget how much he lived a life.
That's right.
As well.
That's right.
He was no alcohol,
no.
Nothing,
that's right. That's right. He lived a clean life, and as long as you do them things, you know.
But isn't it funny, I mean, like we were saying, like we were talking a few years ago, and through how many amateur bouts you had then, 100 professional bouts, and then to have a detached retina by having a pillar fight with a baby.
Yeah, with a baby, a pillar fight. That weren't boxing. That was, everyone can say it was, blame it on when you go to, what I don't like is when you go to hospitals and that, they like to try and blame it on that, don't they? Have you noticed? They always try to blame it on that kind of thing. It had nothing to do with that. Oh, well, it didn't help. But listen, I got hit with a cushion and that caused my retina detachment.
But isn't it the mad thing of life? You've been a warrior all your life and then just having a pillar fight.
Yeah.
And sometimes we all know boxing is a dangerous sport, but look at the lifetime friends, opportunities, memories.
Yeah.
And it is give you, and it's like what
it's
people
right.
say about headbutting a football, and they say, "Oh well, you could give you Alzheimer's," but I could get Alzheimer's anyway. Yeah. But look at all the happiness sport has brought me.
And it's not just that, Kev. It was a while ago, yet it only seems like yesterday. And you still see these people now. It's nice, and it's how they're still around. People like yourself. It only seems like yesterday, then it's when I was doing these jumps and walking on my hands. You're right, with me.
Yeah.
It was only a baby. It only seemed like yesterday, my friend.
And it's saying, as we were saying earlier, like from the Wally days to the Lions days, what I love about boxing is you see someone like myself who you saw as a kid who's now a man, or you see the people you saw 3 to 4 to 5 days a week. You've travelled the country, and you go, "What are you doing? I'm a daddy now, or I'm a coach," and it's that genuine, well done, or I made it, or I'm getting over cancer, and it's a genuine concern.
Yeah,
and that's what the outsiders looking in to boxing, especially amateur boxing. Some people, like yourself, didn't have that biological family, or some people have been thrown on the scrap heap because they've been in trouble at school, or been in trouble with the law. And you can go somewhere where it doesn't matter if you've got money in your pocket, what colour you are, what religion you are, what sexuality you are, because you are a Wally warrior, you are a lion, you are a prairie boxer, and that is a family that you will have for the rest of your life.
Very true. Very true.
But I think
and you, Kev, it just seems like yesterday, and I see you guys. It does. I see you. I saw. I bumped into John the other day.
Big John.
Johnny
Dix.
Big John.
Oh, Big John.
On Merry Hill the other day. I saw him and I waved, and I didn't expect him. He came over. I thought, how nice. Yeah. I was waving just to say hello because I was waiting for. I was having a phone case cover put on my phone. Yeah. So I was waiting for the bloke to do that, and I waved at him. Well, him and what's his wife's name? Leslie. They both came over. I thought, how nice. Yeah. It should be me going over to them, not them coming over to me. And I gave her a hug. I gave them both a hug. It was lovely to see him. But I thought, how nice, they're coming over to me. I should be going over to them. But, I could see they were busy. And I thought, I called them and waved to them. That's enough. I'm having my case done. But they come out their way and they came over to see me and speak to me for a while. And I thought to myself, wow, how nice is that? Is what I thought.
Well, we had someone called the club last night, Andy Maloney, come to our support group. He's a lovely bloke, isn't he? He's coming on the 9th of December. And he come to have a look at the club last night. And he says, Kev, I'm just stood on the car park. And the club, and this ain't just the Lions, I'm not just bragging about my club, but this is my club, but most clubs are like this.
Yeah.
He says, you could feel the pulse of respect, hard work, and love. And he said, and kids nowadays, they've got such a bad rap of they're all hooligans and no one's got manners. And he comes to this place where everyone is a lion, everyone is loved. And he went, but the real world doesn't see this.
No, they don't.
And all it would take is one of these old veterans dying, and boxing will be sent back to the 80s and 90s, where we're banned from the District of Dudley and we're banned from schools. Mm-hmm. Amateur boxing especially is run so well with so many rules and loopholes we have to jump through, where people have to be around about the same experience, the same weight, the same age, and all this. You've got cornermen who love them like their own child, and if they're in trouble, the towel's in. Yeah. You've got referees who are there to keep standing eight. You've got doctors. And people say, look, oh, would you let your daughter get in boxing? I would rather, my daughter will do whatever she wants to.
Yeah.
But I would feel safer her doing boxing, where there's cornermen, doctors, than her horse riding, because quite frankly, I don't speak horse. And if that horse don't want her on the back, it's getting rid of her.
See, Kev, the very sad thing is, you see, majority of people, like you've just said, don't know what we know. They don't know what we know, excuse me. Where have you just said about the cornerman, what loves you, and you have people what's doing the rules. And majority of people don't know these things. People think you're a boxer, you're a tough nut, you're a troublemaker. They don't see that you go into these kind of places will discipline you, will make you respect people, show people love, and that kind of thing. No one knows about these kind of things. They just think that you go in to learn boxing and you're a thug and you're a rough and hard man. They don't see that side. And it's sad to say, this is the majority of people what don't know.
But how many times when I'm teaching schools or council MPs, I go, oh, I don't need to teach these hooligans how to fight. Whoa. I'm not teaching hooligans how to fight. I'm stopping these people from being hooligans.
That's right.
I'm teaching these, some of the hardest men I've ever met in my life. Have been the kindest men you'll ever meet. The people who are out bullying, they're not 9 times out of 10 boxers. And normally, and I'm not knocking football, but normally when it does kick off a show, it's the Villa versus Wolves or the Blues, and it's the football violence that's coming to the boxing. Because 9 times out of 10, the crowd, it's not the boxers, it might be the silly Billy uncle or the dad who's had too many bevies. There's very few of the boxers kicking off, is it?
Yeah.
And I can count on one hand how many times I've seen fights at a show. Because people are there to watch boxing.
Like you say, it's never the boxers, no. Never will be them. They'd rather get out of there.
Yeah.
Don't get involved. It's the ones who drink and throw glasses and that kind of thing, the ones watching it.
And I have to say this, no matter what rough hole you go to, in every ghetto, where the police don't want to go, you'll find a boxing gym. Because that is like their church.
That's right. It's right.
It's somewhere where they can go and not be judged.
True, that is.
And be loved. I'm hungry. Don't worry, Auntie Julie, I'll give you a chicken, or go and have you're cold, go and get yourself a jumper from behind there. And that's what they do. And how many people I know throughout my boxing life, you will have the old scallywags who will come and just be there, not to train, just to feel safe. And if all the people you've trained with, me and my dad was saying this, at 100% of boxers, 30% of people in the gym actually box. The other 70 people are your key fitters, your coaches. Fit. And the boxing is just as important to them as it has been to you, because it's give them confidence, family, fitness. And if you think how many lives boxing must have saved.
It's right, that is. You helped me a lot, Your dad, John Diggs, didn't even make me pay, because of the fact that I couldn't really afford anyway. But, they didn't, you know what I mean? It was 50 pence at the time. I used to go four times a week. I even ended up working with a special needs. I don't know if you guys knew that, but our gym, as Kevin knew, in the day, they had special needs kids there, and we done activities with them. And I'd go work there in the day. I ended up training, doing the boxing there, but ended up working there with these special needs just for free. And, you know, I got a lot of love doing that, just seeing that was enough. I weren't bothered about nothing else, seeing them smiling while you were doing games and that kind of thing with them. And I really enjoyed it, you know.
And people forget this about boxing, but it's not just about the sparring and competing. Who is it? The coach from Droidwich.
Jeff?
No, Jeff Adams. He worked the head coach is Charlie Dalve.
Okay.
Charlie Dalve.
Is he the very old fella?
No. Chris Andrews. Charlie Dalve. He used to box. He boxed Ricky Summers.
Okay.
But he is now doing a thing called Box Positive, and it works with people with Parkinson's disease.
Yeah.
Because it's great for your coordination, your balance, and once again, boxing hasn't got to be about the contest.
That's right.
It can be about confidence. Where are we now, as males, as human beings, allowed to go and hit something? Because we live in this world where we've got to be happy all the time.
Yeah.
Sometimes we want to go and lamp something.
Yeah.
But not someone, but go and get it up. And boxing can help in so many different ways.
Of course it can, mate. Of course it can. Punch bags, hitting bags, that kind of thing. You know what I mean?
We work with special needs school at the club, and it's so, and youth offenders, because you're giving someone something, and especially the youth offenders and the naughty kids, and they're only naughty because school hasn't captured their attention.
That's right.
If you can give someone a well done, and you give them a certificate or a medal, and it's like they've just won a world title, because it's the first time that child, that young man, that young woman has been told, well done.
And you know, sometimes, Kev, I think not just in every school. You know, my lad is at a school called Windsor.
Yeah, good school.
Yeah. Kev, I don't know if it is a fantastic school, though. I don't know. Sometimes they give people pats on the backs what deserve it, all the clever ones, but those who aren't too good. What about giving them a pat on the back?
Yes.
Wouldn't that help? Do you think I'm wrong in saying that? All right, Kev, I don't know. Try and help everybody, and maybe you see better results. Not just help ones who are clever. Everybody's different, and not everybody's clever. Kids are clever at different things. You know. My lad's superb athletics. Not fantastic. He's all right, but he ain't fantastic at doing that thing. And sometimes Kev, gets a bit of hassle with teachers. You know. How about giving him a pat on the back? He's not a bad child.
Don't you find sometimes, like what I've noticed in working in the schools, you have the very, very good kids who will have help, and you have the very, very naughty kids who will have help. But that middle ground often gets left behind.
That's right. No, it's right.
I'm not an A star. I do attend school.
Yeah.
I'm not dyslexic. I'm not. But I try my best. But I survive.
And they don't take no. Kev,
no man's land.
No man, Kev, that was sort of like me because I was quiet, never got into any trouble, but struggle and shy, scared to ask for help. You know, sometimes that is a point. What you've just said there, where people struggle and there's no help for them, but they could do with help. There's always that kind in every school, no matter where you are. To do with work, Kev, you might be at school, you might be in a job, doing a job, and what you said there, it goes for everyone. You have that kind of group in every industry, I think.
I think it's with like people who they work blooming hard, they're just on the breadline. You know, whereas if they signed off, they could get a lot more help, but they want to, and it's like once again middle Britain. Yeah. And they're often the ones who really struggle in everything, who are, and they say God loves a trier, but sometimes society doesn't.
That's right.
You know what I mean?
It's true though, isn't it?
And I see it with education, those kids, and there's so many different forms of smart. And what amazes me, education hasn't really changed. How I remember it is not being able to see and touch typeface. The teacher would go and write it on the blackboard. And that was how we had to read through books all right from the blackboard. Yeah. And I think there's seers, there's listeners, and there's doers. But if you're only teachers one way to be a seer, the other two groups struggle.
That is, Kev, again, That is fantastic there, what you're saying. I mean, Kev, what about in school where, you see, like in your situation, you probably were forgotten about and they probably haven't forgot the majority, but they forgot about you. Same in another industry, you got, everybody knows the questions, but there's one or two what don't. Yeah. He's forgotten. Yeah. Again, that happened in the same sort of thing. Is that what happened to you, Kevin?
Yeah, yeah.
It happened in where I went to school. Majority is clever. I struggle in certain things. Why aren't you helping me? I was forgotten about. Yeah. It's happened to me.
I was clever in a different way.
Yeah, I can understand that, Kev.
The way, because I couldn't read and write, and I couldn't just pick up the book. I have to, and this is why I don't sleep, I regurgitate over and over and over. So that's the way I have to store information. Yeah. So I have to keep going over it, and I have to. But at the club, the reason why I believe I'm a good coach, I was very lucky in life. I had some great teachers, like my dad, like Big John, Mr. Mackenzie, who was brilliant.
Fantastic.
And I had some horrific teachers who made me feel, and I learned as much off one as I did off the other.
Yeah.
How to make someone feel, and how to never make anyone feel.
Yeah.
And when I'm doing examples at the club, I will show how to throw a jab. I will talk, lock out your arms, and so I try and show as many different ways as I can, so no one is left out. And I remember teaching in a school, and there was deaf kids, and there's a deaf kid, a blind kid, and fully able-bodied, and I made everyone feel inclusive. Yeah. The visually impaired person, I taught more. For the deaf person, I did more demonstrations. And it was not leaving anyone out, but there was I could teach the whole room by adapting small things.
That's fantastic, Kev. I wish some of these so-called meant to be fantastic schools done that kind of thing, but you know what, they don't. And it's nice that people like yourself what do that. Do it. I wish everybody done that.
But it's only because
everybody don't do it.
Because I've been through the rat race.
Yeah.
Like you.
Yeah. That's right.
So I haven't read how to feel neglected. I was that kid, and you carry those scars your whole life, don't you?
Yeah, you do. Always there, my friend, always there.
And I look at that child and I think, that poor boy or girl just wants to fit in. And if I go, come here, Harvey, I'll walk you over. And you think, everyone's noticing. Same with me. Let me fall over. Let me be the normal kid. Be aware that I am different, but don't make me stick out like a sore thumb. Include me in everything I can. Because my gold medals will be different to your gold medals. They'll be different to Calarosa's gold medals. We will achieve our own gold medals, whatever they will be. You know what I mean?
Yeah, I do.
Does that make sense?
Yeah, it makes 100% sense. I understand you. And it's true. Yeah.
And I think education has got so much better from when we were kids, but it's got so much further to go, hasn't it?
Yeah. It certainly has got much further to go, Kevin. Situations where some people understand, but not all understand, and there seems to be a little problem with that still sometimes, Kev, you know.
I think with that, there'll always be someone who doesn't understand. But what we have got to do as parents is teach our children better. We can't expect education to teach them.
No.
The only way we're going to get rid of racism, prejudice, we have got to teach our children better. And I think what we've got to do at home is teach our kids kindness. Teach our kids, and my daughter, and I said, if you want to learn about books, you talk to mummy. You want to learn about people, you talk to daddy, and about empathy. If you see Lee's having a cry, you go over, hold his hand and go, are you okay?
Yeah.
And that is things we can teach them. And it's something I talk to a lot of teachers, and a lot of teachers, they're on this thing where they've got to meet Ofsted, they've got to do instead of just teaching. Yes, education. But education isn't just academics. Education is human skills.
That's right.
How many times we'll have someone phone up the house phone and it's boxing, lions, what time? Back in the day we had a phone voice. Hello, my name's Kevin, I'm just inquiring about the lion.
Yeah.
We've lost them simple human...
It's just so true though, that is. I totally agree, you know. It's true.
When you meet someone, you shake their hand, you look at them.
Yeah.
How are you? Nothing worse when you're into a shop and she's on a mobile phone or a receptionist, she's looking at and you're going, acknowledge I'm here.
Yeah.
I am human.
Yeah.
And even if you go 2 seconds or I'm busy and I want to feel acknowledged, and that's the same with children.
That's right.
acknowledge them, because
Right.
kids aren't fake.
No.
And you know you're different, no matter what it is. And I say on this podcast a lot, the one thing that unites every person on this planet, we're all broken in some way.
Yeah.
Whether it's a disability, I'm too slim, I'm too good looking, but it's the one thing that we don't want to talk about.
It's right.
But when you start owning up to it, your life is so easy. We've found that on our journey, haven't we, Lee?
Yeah, definitely. And there's a lot of things in there. I mean, we can't put pressure on schools to teach manners, because that's not their job. Ultimately, they ought to expect manners from children, but ultimately it's parents' jobs. And we keep going on about how the new generation, the new kids coming up, are not polite, not this, not that. But ultimately, they've learnt all that from us, or not learnt it from us. So actually, it lies on us either way.
Yeah.
You know, we do now have to step it up and teach our kids better.
Yeah.
In everything. Was there anything else you want to ask Harvey or bring up, Lee?
I think after listening to Trish, I think we've covered your career in that sense. It's absolutely fantastic to hear you talk, and what an achievement to get to 100 fights.
Thank you. You know, it means a lot. You know, you saying that.
So I remember hearing on that Trish, and it was like, you knew if you did 101, you'd have had to stick it there for 200.
That's what I would have done, and you know, I don't know. That's what I would have done. I would have definitely stuck out and eat 200. I would have made sure I'd have eat 200. But you know, it's not a good thing keep taking punches. You know that it's not a good thing keep taking punches. You know, I think that was enough, and I had enough.
And you also had a career to fall back on, didn't
you?
A lot of people go into boxing. I'm never sure if it's right or wrong to go fully into it there to backup plan, because if you've got a backup plan, you know in your mind you've got something to fall back on. So are you going to push yourself as much as possible?
However,
to have a backup plan like you did meant you could leave when you wanted to.
Yeah, that's right.
That's right. Still good.
You know, so you know, when I heard that you'll be back, I knew I weren't going to be back. And the thing is, you see, too many people. The people can say that I'll be back because I see people retire, but you see me, if I'm retiring, I'm not coming back, and that's how I am. A lot of people aren't that way, are they? They come back, but I knew I weren't. I heard you'll be back, but I knew I weren't coming back, because then, in my mind, why am I retiring? I'm retiring because I weren't coming back. And at the same time, my lad was about to be born as well, so I didn't want to have any kids and be doing what I'm doing. You know what I mean?
Sport's so fickle, isn't it? All it takes is an accident at work, or and your career can be ruined. So I always say to the babbies who are now men and going on to whatever, have a backup plan, because anyone who tells you life is fair is lying to your face, because we don't know what today's going to bring, do we? And I've seen some of the most brilliant boxers I've ever been around. They haven't always gone on to do it, because life's got in the way.
Yeah.
And we've seen it, haven't we, mate? And you think
it's right, that, isn't it, though?
This kid, I'll tell you something, in the right hands, he will be, and then for whatever reason, he couldn't be bothered. He weed his talent up the wall.
Yeah.
Or something's happened. He's had a baby. Or something has happened. You don't know, do you?
You don't, and it's happened to quite a few boxers. What have been good boxers also, and could have made it, but they haven't, have they? But you don't know. You know, we have personal lives, and people say he could. Why comes he didn't make it? He's got his reasons. We don't know.
And people say that like it's a bad thing. He couldn't have made it, but maybe he made something else of his life. You know, maybe that wasn't the path he was meant to go down, but he has got a beautiful wife and 3 kids, which is a lot more important than any boxing.
Then, guys, you do get some boxers who have made it but ended up with nothing. That you also, you got that as well. And
that's the sad thing about success, financial success, because it's funny about all them. I can't think of what to call them. Come out the woodwork and they drip them dry, and you've seen that through every industry. You know, someone who's come from nothing, and all of a sudden they've dripped them dry, and then they've had to come out of, or they felt like they've had to come out of retirement, and then they've got very ill or they've got very injured.
Yeah.
So what would you tell them people?
Gee. you know what? Just be careful what you're doing. It's you know, Kevin's hard, isn't it? You know what I mean? There is people that have been dripped and dry, and you just have to be careful what you do, haven't you? You know what I mean? You know, Kevin's like, for instance, you know your dad. Your dad, your dad looks out for me. You know, he really looks out for me, and he didn't want me to. He didn't want me to go pro, and I understand why. I understood why. You know what I mean? He just wanted me to be. He wanted me to do well. But in all fairness, at the time when I was, I maybe should have listened to him, shouldn't I? Because you know, and I probably would have been the way he wanted. Who knows? I probably would have been, and could have been, a superstar. You just never know.
You've got to walk your own path, haven't you? Make your own decisions.
Yeah.
And that's part of being a man and growing up and doing those. And maybe it wasn't a mistake because you might not have had your wife and kids now.
That's
you had
right.
gone on to that.
You don't know.
And I think what we do in life, we've got to stand by it. It's not being bitter about the ifs, buts, woulds, coulds. Do you know that prayer, giving us ready to accept the things that I can change, the wisdom, you know, it's basically, it's happened. I've learned through my life, I can't change yesterday. I can't change having bad eyes. I can't. What I can change is what I do tomorrow. I can change my diet, I can change, and knowing the difference. Mm-hmm. And I think as human beings, we drive ourselves to insanity trying to change the things we have no power to change. Mm. And that's where we can lose the plot, we can go, we can only change the things we can.
That's right. Like you said, what happened, and you can't change that. So, like you say.
And what you can do now is pass your knowledge on, you know, to people who are listening to this. Whenever you can, come down to the club or do whatever, give your knowledge. And when these people go, oh, I'm going to turn pro, go, well, look, that's great, but this is the reality of it. In fact, me and my old man were having a conversation with one of the coach. A lad who wants to be a coach at the club. And I went, being a coach isn't just shouting at people, not just turning up, doing a lesson. A coach, you're here all the time. You will miss weddings,
that's right,
funerals, christenings. Your wife will be shouting at you, but you will do it because you love doing it.
That's right.
You'll give up your life for other people's kids, and if you're prepared to do that, then you will be a coach. Mm-hmm. Same with being a pro. Same with being this. You've got to sacrifice to get it, but what are you willing to sacrifice?
You know, Kevin. You know, one thing I will say. You know, your dad. You give me right he did like. But I understand why he did. You know what I mean? And I look back now, and I still wish I'd listened. You know. And I was eager to get away and hide away from him and that, but I wish I'd listened.
It is what it is, and it is. But you know, it's that is life, isn't it? And I think sometimes
I can understand why it was the way we went really mad, like, you know what I mean? But not mad for the bad, mad for the good. Do you know what I mean? Yeah.
And that comes from a place of love, doesn't it?
Yes, that's right. Yeah, like to me, it was like a dad to me. Yeah. So it was like a love, not bad or nothing. So like a love, like a very caring man. Well, Kev, all I have to say, who would do that for anyone? Get a roast dinner done for them. Who would do that? I've never known anyone to do that. And even though we'll say it again, we know your mum cooks it, but it was because of him. Yeah. You know what I mean? Your mum wouldn't have known. You know what I mean? But he got that done for me. So yeah, he was like a dad. He was like a loving dad. And whatever madness he done weren't for the wrongfulness, but was for the very goodness. You know what I mean? And
I think now that we're all dads here, we're going to do those things, aren't we?
Yeah, 100%.
Sometimes when it's
100%.
a child and they're going to, I don't know, whatever they want to, and you see them throwing it away, and you're thinking, come on, stick to the plan, because we can do this, or you can do it, you can be happy. And it's, I always say, there's nothing more frustrating than wasted talent.
You know, Kev, there's blokes, you know, Kev, what I've thought of in the pros, what have gone into what your dad's doing. They says, I have a bump into what you call it. I never knew of an amateur. He was the guy who trained you. Do you know I've had that happen to me? Yeah, got in contact with me on inbox me on social media, saying, "Oh, I've gone down to so and so. I met a guy called Bob. I told him that I fought you. I didn't know that was your trainer." I says, "Yeah, that was my main trainer." Yeah, shocked by it, like, you know what I mean? Yeah.
It's funny, isn't it?
It's funny how things come across in life. How there's boxers who become trainers and they've gone down to place, took people down to squads and they bumped into your dad there, and they've had a word with your dad to know that your dad knew, and not only did your dad knew or was your dad trained me, and you think, how crazy. This happened to me the other day, by the way, Kev. That's why I've brought it up.
Was it?
Yeah, this happened to me the other day on Twitter.
Really funny,
how strange is that, eh?
And when you've known someone for so long, I mean, back to my dad, he's been on here a couple of times. We had him on the podcast every day as well. Yeah. But for a bloke from Warleaf to go and do what he's done, it's remarkable, isn't it?
It's absolutely fantastic. And when I heard that he was training, I was so overjoyed for him. Because I've always thought that's what he should do. I thought, he used to tell me, I work in an office with a pen. He told me what he'd done and everything. I thought, how can someone so fantastic? To me, that bloke was amazing. What's someone like that doing in an office? Writing with a pen, and the next thing I know, so I heard somewhere he was with the Olympic guys. I thought, you know what? Best thing for him. He deserves it. I knew in my mind from how that guy taught me, that's what he should be doing. Not in an office. That's what he should be doing. And so many people he's done good things for in the pros. I went down to Kev. First I went to the Kev gym and I looked over, what the hell? I was sitting with a lot of guys who he's trained. I was unaware. I never knew. I saw the evidence on the wall, which I'd rather see than anybody telling me anything. I saw what I saw and I thought, wow. I was really shocked. I couldn't believe it. Well, that's what he should be doing, not working, pushing a pen. I was so happy when I saw him doing that because I thought, when he taught me, what knowledge and fantastic. This guy's fantastic, absolutely fantastic. I've always thought that of Bob, I always have done. You know what I mean? Always loved the bloke and always have done. And I just thought to myself, what better could there be than him to be doing what he's doing? So, I'm happy,
Well, that's why I put him on the wall so people can see it. This bloke is from the same village, he's from the Black Country. And he's gone to, 5 Olympics. If he can do it, why can't you? And if this bloke can go and train with Anthony Joshua, and go and train with George Groves, and all these names, not names, you can too. And I think success breeds success. And if you're training next to a national champion, you go, if he can do it, I can do it. Yeah. And that's the same. But if he can go to Olympics as a coach or as a boxer, as I can, because if someone else can do it, it's possible that you might just do it too.
100%.
And that's all we do, isn't it, really? We're following the footsteps of people who've already done it. It's very rare that anything in this world is new and inventive. You're following in other people's footsteps.
But still, though, Bob Dylan, what an amazing man.
Well, I think we're coming to the end of the show. I always like to end. Have you got any quotes or sayings that have helped you get through life?
Oh, Kev, you know what? I've never thought about it, but what I can say is never give up. Always try to be the best that you can be, because we're all human and we can do it. So many people think, carry on, it's impossible and I don't get this opportunity. We all got opportunities and we all can do it. Don't be negative. Try and be the best person you can be. That's just come to mind, and that's all I could say. So that's what I've said.
I think that's what we don't, as you say, opportunities are there, but often we don't notice them.
It's right, and that's true. It's right. Opportunities are there, and we don't notice them sometimes, but they are there. And
if you wake up
for all of us.
If you wake up with a negative mind, it's funny what you're aware of if you're looking for it.
Yeah.
If the world's out to get me, everything you see is confirming what you're after. But if everything you look at, you go, well, you know what? Talk to Arv. I've learned, and I'm going to take that here, and life is what you make of it.
But Kev, when I was younger, that was like me. I feel that way. I'm a bad luck person when you're younger. As you get older, you get wiser. I don't know. Maybe without being wiser and the opportunities, you realise, hey, we wish someone could have told me this though. you realise yourself that the opportunities are there, and we all can all do good, and we can all do what we want to do, and we can all try. And like you say, the opportunities are all there. But I feel like this might have come with a bit of being wise, rather than before you always thought, "How comes I'm always having bad luck?" It's not the case. We all have to try, don't we? Hey guys.
Well, thank you ever so much, brother. And it's been lovely, and I swear, just catching up with you, brother.
Kev and Lee, it's been a pleasure, and just thank you so much for having me on your show. I really enjoyed it, and I appreciate it, guys. Thank you very much.
Yeah, the pleasure's all out, brother. Now, on Thursday, next Thursday, we've got Cherry Gillings coming on, talk about her life and all the brilliant work she's done, coming from going to prison, addiction. It's brilliant. So that's next week. So guys, thank you for listening. I hope you've enjoyed it as much as we've enjoyed doing it. Take care of yourselves and each other. Take care of yourselves and each other. Ta-ra a bit.